Francie, thanks for being here on the share chair.
Thanks for having me.
Can you just sort of talk about you? Who's in your family?
So I have 6 people in total, counting me and my family. My parents, that counts as 2. And then I have a sister, she's adopted. She's older, she's 19. And then an older brother, he's 17, and he's biological. And then I have a younger brother, he is 15, I think. And he's adopted too.
And you, Francie, are adopted.
Yeah.
Next week is National Adoption Week. I think Saturday the 21st is the day that it's most recognized with. And so I figured, good correlation to see what it's really like to be adopted, per se.
Yeah,
when it's not that, yeah.
That's funny because yesterday was actually the day that we celebrated the day that I was adopted. So, yesterday we call it, Kunming Day because that's where I was, from, the region that I was from. And then we go out and, eat at a Asian place and, just, kind of celebrate that.
Where did you go yesterday?
We went to the egg roll house. That's Korean, but it's okay. It's just someplace. I like their soup, so.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Asian food anyway.
Yeah.
So, Francie, where were you born?
I was born in Kunming, China, and I actually, in 5th grade, my whole family went back to China. Well, when I was in 5th grade, and we went back to all the orphanages that we were from, and we found, we went back to the places that we were left on the street, and we spent a lot of time in, each of our kind of city, and it's funny, because some of the people, Schaefer was 2 years old when he was adopted, so, some of the people actually remembered him.
Wow.
Oh.
And then, they were, really excited to have Gussie come. There was, a huge, celebration, fireworks and everything. And then, I came to mine, and then they were like, oh, hi.
Your parents must have, they called ahead to these. I mean, they must have made major arrangements for this kind of visit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You were in 5th grade, so I don't know, what were your feelings going back as a 5th grader?
If I were to go back now, it'd probably be a lot different because I understand it more now. But as a 5th grader, I was like, oh, this is cool. None of my friends have been to China before. I'm, cool because I got to go. 12 years ago, I was here, wow, that's kind of cool. Vague thoughts and, not really. But, I was, really optimistic, and I was like, oh, this is so cool and stuff like that. Nothing, really, deep.
How old were you when you were adopted?
I was 9 months old.
Okay, so it was really early.
Yeah.
And you said in what you've said already so far is that you and your siblings were found on the street. Do you know your story of how the orphanage found you, or how do you know that story from your parents?
No,
or from anybody?
We don't know anything. We know that we were found where we were found, and that's it. I don't even know if my birthday is my birthday. It's kind of estimated.
I'd be curious to know more about how you think it would be different now. You said it would be different now, but how so? What are you currently curious about?
Cool to go there and see it again and stuff. Go back to the orphanages and maybe do some mission work there. That'd be cool. Now that I understand more of the psychological things that it does for a person, it changes it, kind of. As, I've grown up, I've realized that, once, I've, read adoption stuff and stuff, it's kind of, hit home for me more and stuff like that. I think for everyone that's adopted, there's, a certain time that, in your life where it kind of just, there's actually, I think there's a few moments in your life where it kind of just comes all back to you and it kind of hits you, and, you don't think it would ever do that, but it does, because you, realize how much it impacts you when it doesn't seem like it could possibly.
I gotta imagine that's going to happen a few times.
Yeah, it definitely.
Where it's going to hit you, and it has hit you.
Yeah, I remember my parents. Well, I don't remember it, but my parents have said we've each kind of in our earlier childhood, we've each, like, gone down, like, crying or, like, gone, like, woke up crying because of, like, saying something about, like, how we don't know our parents or something like that. It's weird because, like, you don't think about that on a normal basis because, like, you think about the people that you're living with at the moment, kind of, like, in the back of your mind.
Do you have a moment where you realized that you were adopted? Like, because you were adopted at 9 months, so then you don't really know, like, oh, these aren't my biological parents. They're my parents, but they're not my biological parents. So do you have a time that you realized on your own, or did your parents tell you, have a talk with you, like, sit down, talk about adoption and everything?
It's funny because I don't remember anything like that. Like, I just, like, always grew up knowing that I was adopted and that, like, it was just something that happened and that was okay and stuff like that. And, like, it was not different than anything else.
Or you visited when you were in 5th grade, you were interested in maybe going back for mission work or something, which would be so cool.
Yeah.
How do they need mission work there? Is the place there really bad? Is it in bad shape, or?
The place that I was adopted from, it's looking really good now. Like, it's actually, like, they've done a lot of work on it, and it's, like, it's a good-looking building. I know, like, back, like, years, like, that was, I think China was one of those places that, like, needed, like, more financial support maybe and, like, orphanages and stuff like that. But I'm not sure if it's one of the highest, like, needed countries for, like, that kind of stuff now.
How are your conversations about adoption with your adopted parents, with your parents?
I don't even think of them as my adopted parents. They're just my parents. I notice it a lot more. Like, it comes up in conversations with, like, a lot of people will say stuff like, I want to have my own kid when I grow up. And that's, like, something that I kind of, like, take personally, I guess. Okay, so, like, what am I then? Like, I just want to have my own kid. There's something special about having your own kid. And then I talk to my parents kind of about that sometimes. And that's just, like, kind of how it comes into conversation with my parents sometimes.
What is that about people that they would say that, do you think?
Ignorance, I guess.
I agree. They don't know.
Yeah. They don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
Yeah.
We could teach them to understand, though. That is
what we're trying to do. How has it been to grow up differently in Spring Lake, looking differently? I ask this, Francie, just to give a little bit of knowledge to people who might be listening.
It's not like racism, like, in the 1800s or anything like that. Like, it's not like that. It's, yeah, I mean, like, obviously there's a difference. Obviously, like, there's the racist jokes that go around. I think, yeah, it gets annoying, but I think it's just something that, like, just people will say. People will say anything stupid. Like, it's, like, bullying. Like, that's not how it is. Friends will kind of joke with it, too, and be like, haha, like, you have squinty eyes.
That's a really powerful kind of, you have a strength, I think, that a lot of people would admire, that's your answer.
I think a lot of it's from my parents, because, like, I don't know, they're really strong people. Even if I did have those kind of, like, was super uncomfortable with, like, looking so different, they'd just be really supportive, and they'd tell me, like, that it doesn't matter, like, what I look like, and a faith kind of thing, too, because I think a lot of it, like, I've been, like, as I grew up, I realized all the things that I take for granted and stuff like that, and I think, like, as you realize that, as being adopted, and you realize that, given such a good life, and, like, there's gonna, it's, like, not guaranteed to be perfect. So.
How do you feel when someone says something, obviously in a joking manner, and they're not, hopefully not intending to cause pain, but why do you think that someone, like, what happens in their brain that they think that that's okay to say?
I think it's a lot of society and just, like, being uninformed about a lot of things and not really understanding, like, what you're saying. It's like saying to someone, like, oh my gosh, I'm so anorexic. People, like, use mental disorders as, like, an adjective to describe something without having any knowledge to it at all. And, like, that offends a lot of people that have that mental disorder.
What do you dream of doing?
I want to be a child psychologist. I feel like I have an understanding kind of, and like a compassion towards like brain and stuff like that, and understanding like why people like think things without like judging them. Like, actually after this I'm going to a special needs like youth group. It's like where a bunch of people with special needs like go and hang out, and they're so happy, and it's just like so interesting to see how everyone's brain works differently, and like it's like a lot of misconceptions about the brain, and learning about like stuff like depression and stuff like that, and how it's not something like you can just, it's not just being sad. Too many people don't know that, and I don't know, I just kind of want to like help people through that, you know?
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Francie, for being on the Share Chair.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Share Chair. Stay tuned next week for a new episode.